Deep Threat Sports Network fans, welcome back. Another fantastic episode tonight. You have Bryant and myself. Happy New Year to all those who celebrated and had a good time. I'm glad everybody had a good, safe holidays and was able to enjoy themselves. Bryant, how was yours?
Not bad. Pretty laid back, watching the college football game that we'll talk about later that night, but nothing crazy. Hard to believe it's 2026, honestly. I know I said 2025 went by fast many times, but it really did.
It really did, man. It's crazy that to look back and think that we've now done this for almost 2 full seasons now. It's been a lot of fun. It's made college football even more enjoyable and almost a little bit more competitive in a way, if you think about it. And I'm glad I get to do this with you, Dave, and Nolan. It's been a blast, man. And, like I said, tonight you have Bryant and myself. Maybe Nolan's going to be able to get in here. Maybe Dave's going to be able to get in here. Those two guys are pretty busy right now with everything still going on. But for sure, concreted in, you have Bryant and myself. Also, just want to remind everybody, congratulations to those who won the merch giveaway. We did just get those on order. We were waiting until the holidays were over. That way nothing could get lost in transit or something like that. So those are on order, and we'll be with the merch winners soon. So, Bryant, we did just see, you kind of touched on it for just a brief second. We saw the biggest upset in playoff history, arguably, and it was a hell of a game. But before we get to those games, let's talk a little bit about some transfer portal stuff. Anybody that you want to bring some light to real quick? We're not going to get too deep in the weeds on this, just going to keep it brief. But is there anybody you want to point your attention to that gets the juices flowing?
Obviously, I think everybody knows Texas Tech is throwing money around again. They got Brendan Sorsby to commit there. Don't know anything concrete as of yet, but everything I've heard is upwards of $5 million, which is insane. Absolutely insane. Granted, he's the number one player in the portal, at least 247 is concerned. But man, that's a lot of money for them. And then Indiana's also making splash too. They've got Nick Marsh from Michigan State. I really liked him as a receiver. Yeah. And who is the quarterback they got? Josh Hoover. He's not bad either from TCU. So a lot of guys are in the portal, mostly right now taking visits. There's a few that are spread out that are kind of just making their decision based after their visits are done. But a lot of big names yet to fall.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff going on, man. It's absolutely crazy how fast this is coming at us and how quick these guys are moving. You talked about Sorsby to Tech. That's a big one. Drew Mestamaker to Oklahoma State. It looks like the coach is bringing a lot of talent with him. Obviously Cam Coleman, talked about him a little bit, hops in the portal. He's taken all kinds of visits to all these schools. And, man, there's just a lot of stuff going on. Omarion Miller was a receiver from Colorado that was really under the radar that a lot of people didn't know about. And he was a top receiver in the portal, and he is off to Arizona State as well. Mm-hmm. You're kind of seeing some of these guys. Caleb Hawkins from North Texas as well gets in there to Oklahoma State. Byron Brown. Well, yes, that's for sure. And Byron Brown, a top quarterback in the portal from USF, looks like he may end up going the Auburn route. There's a crystal ball out there on him to Auburn. So just kind of touching the tip of the iceberg, man. And you touched on Nick Marsh. That dude is an absolute game. He's an absolute game stud. And from Michigan State to Indiana, Indiana's loading up again, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably the second highest spender last year in the portal. Look where they're at. Arguably the best team left in the playoffs, which we'll talk about a little bit tonight. But yeah, I think he was number one on the wide receiver board for almost everybody, and then quickly went to Indiana. A lot of the movement you're seeing right now, though, is kind of players following coaches to new jobs. Yeah. You mentioned Byron Brown, you mentioned all the North Texas guys, etc. You've seen a lot of that right now, and that's generally the dominoes that fall first.
Speaking of following coaches, Rocco Becht from Iowa State to Penn State following his coach. So you're right on that. You do see a lot of continuity there. Hollywood Smothers, the running back from NC State. News just broke kind of before we got on that it looks like he's going to be taking his talent to Alabama as well. So that's a stud running back right there. And we talked about it at length this season. We're going to talk about it again tonight a little bit. Bama could use a running back, Brian. They could use a little bit of a running game.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about it a lot this evening, but they need to get something figured out on that side of the ball, and that's a good start. Another thing I wanted to add real quick is I feel like you're seeing a little bit more this season than maybe previous few years. You're seeing a few guys dip their toes in the portal, but then come back to their schools. Like Isaac Brown for Louisville, one of the better running backs in the country, in my opinion, from last year, was in the portal or was thinking about it and then decided to stay. So you are seeing a little bit of that too, which is kind of encouraging. It doesn't mean that you're automatically always in the portal if you see it pop up on X or Twitter or whatever, that it's always going to be instantly in the portal and gone. There's a chance they come back, and you're seeing more of that this year, at least this first week.
Yeah, for sure. And I have before we close the door on the transfer portal conversation, like I said, we're just going to keep it brief on this episode because we're going to dive all the way into transfer portal episodes at length down the road. And Chase asked the question. This is actually right the direction I was going. I wanted to get Brian's opinion on this. Chase comes in and says, Mizzou quarterback situation I would like to hear about. So with that being said, there's a lot of conversation around the fact that Austin Simmons looks like he's going to hop in the portal and looks like he's going to take his talent to Mizzou. And Brian, how do you feel about that? What's your thoughts on the Austin Simmons outlook from Mizzou?
I like it. It kind of goes away from what Drink has been preaching this whole time with production over potential. But I mean, Austin Simmons beat out Chambliss to start the season. He was going to be the starter until he got hurt. Yep. And there was conversation him coming back even when Chambliss had a few good games and becoming the starter again. So he has the talent. He's pretty raw as far as reading a defense. He likes to throw the ball to the other team a lot, at least this season. But those are a lot of things you can coach up. And from that standpoint, I like it. And also, Chip Lindsey, our new offensive coordinator we hired, did a very good job with a multitude of quarterbacks, including the likes of like Drake May, in making their game a step or two better. And so I'm hoping if he does come to Mizzou, that's the case there. But I like it. I think it's a good play. But we're going to have to find a right tackle because he's a lefty.
Yeah, so I had the same thoughts as you. I like the Chip Lindsey pairing. They kind of hang their hat on Chip Lindsey being a kind of a quarterback whisperer. There is a load of talent with Austin Simmons. To your point, he beat out Trinidad at the start of the season and was pushing him to get his job back once he was healthy again. So for me, I've watched a lot of the Austin Simmons thing. 2 years ago, or I guess last year, I should say, with Jackson Dart injury, Austin Simmons comes in right off the bench when he wasn't game planned to be in the game, makes all kinds of throws. I think he's the more experienced left-handed version of Zollers a little bit, Brian. Like, he has the arm that can make any throw on the field. There's no doubt there's not a throw on the field that Austin Simmons cannot make, has tons of zip. But like you said, it's going to take getting to read a defense a little bit, trusting that it's not just a one read and go type situation, be able to get the play right pre-snap. So I'm excited for it. I think it's a good fit. All the pieces got to come together. Like you said, we need a right tackle to go with him. We need some receivers to go with him because that position's pretty decimated. Obviously, the rushing attack is going to be there, but I'm anxious to see how it works out long-term with Austin Simmons. But I'm excited for it, man. I do not hate that move at all.
Yeah, I think you could argue that he might have the best arm in the portal right now. I mean, there's a couple guys that are pretty close, but as far as pure throwing the ball, there's not many right now that are out there that are better. It's just a matter of dialing it in and everything. And then back to the QB situation here at Mizzou, likely going to take another quarterback too, from what I'm seeing. I think we're going to take two. Now, obviously, you're not going to take two Power 4 guys. I think we're going to go after a few under the radar dudes, but like I said, I think Simmons is the gem there, and there's going to take another one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave's going to be joining us in just a second. He just hopped in the studio. We're going to let him get his camera and everything situated, and we're going to throw him up on the screen with us. Jordan comes in real quick. Where is Raiola going? That's a name that's been pretty quiet in the portal, Brian. I haven't been seeing a lot of news on him on 3 sites and beat writers, not on 247 site and beat writers. Fairly quiet around Dylan Raiola right now.
Yeah, I mean, initially there was the Texas Tech, but they shot that down. I think that was more of a one-sided interest. But honestly, since that, I really haven't heard anything either. I don't really think he's taken any visits either. So I'm intrigued where he'll land. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to like a G5 type school, maybe. But he obviously could easily fall in Power 4 position that we're just not thinking about right now. But up in the air with him right now.
I could see him landing a Big 12, ACC. Hell, there's going to be some other Big 10 and some SEC schools have some interest. So I think he will still get a good job. And I mean, I think Raiola's got the talent. Let's not forget what everybody thought he was coming into his college career. So it's there. They just got to unlock it and get it going. I think what's hurting him a little bit is there's so many big names at the quarterback position that hopped in the portal that people weren't expecting. And it might have even caught Raiola and his camp a little off guard with all the names that got involved in that portal, Brian.
Yeah, I think there's just guys that are more sought after above him right now. But like we mentioned, like Sorsby and Mestemaker, they're committing to other places. So I could definitely see him starting to get more interest.
Yep, for sure. With all that being said, like we said a second ago, way more portal talk to happen down the road. But we're going to turn our attention to the Miami versus Ohio State game. I'm going to throw Dave in here real quick and make sure he's ready. I have to look to my left. Everybody that keeps seeing that I'm not looking, it's because I keep one monitor. I can run the screen. Dave, you ready?
Ready to go.
All right, Dave. Well, we're on right now. So we're going to take our attention first thing right away to Miami versus Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Miami 24, Ohio State 14. A massive, massive, massive college football playoff upset. So, Bryant, what did you see in this football game that gets you excited? Hang on real quick, actually. Jordan comes in and said, send him to Vandy. He is a douche like Pavia. Relating to Dylan Raiola, Mike comes in and says, agreed, J-Rod. So the Diego Pavia love is not there for our network or our followers. But anyway, back to the Cotton Bowl. Bryant, what do you got?
Man, I really do think this game was won in the trenches by Miami. Obviously, the game changing was the pick six there in the second quarter that put them up 14-0. And I mean, that was really what won them the game when it came down to it. But Carson Beck protected the ball. They were able to run the ball a little bit with Fletcher. Man, he's really gotten going in these playoffs and late in the season, basically the last month and a half, 2 months. So they did what they needed to do on the offense, protected the ball. I mean, man, that defensive front for Miami is just unbelievable. On the flip side, Sand did exactly what we thought Carson Beck couldn't do. Got happy feet. Really was only like one read and done. And that kind of was detrimental to a bunch of drives for them, especially there at the first part of the game and with that pick six, like I mentioned. So it looked like Ohio State was a little rusty. I don't know if that was the whole taking a month off or whatever. I would attribute some to that, but credit to Miami. They had a great game plan for this game and went out there and took it to Ohio State and started off hot, and that ended up winning them the game.
Dave, what do you got in this one? Because Chase just said you're looking good for once. So what do you got for this Cotton Bowl?
Oh, man. This game, again, and we talked about it, last week, and I even mentioned, Carson Beck's not going to make it happen. I was fairly confident in this game. This was one of those few games that I was fairly confident Ohio State was going to handle business just because I didn't think Miami's offense could really, live up to this game. Obviously proving us wrong. Carson Beck is, moving on, and Ryan Day and Ohio State. I mean, we talked all year about how Ohio State's defense was incredible. And they were good, but I just, and I don't even think Miami's offense was that mind blowing. They just found a way to win. I think it really just came down to who wanted it more. I don't know if it was, Ohio State being a little rusty from having time off, but man, I think the big thing here was Miami's defense. Going off of what Bryant said as well, Miami's defense was just incredible. And again, I do think that this maybe does say, like, is a bye actually good for you in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, I think
for Indiana.
I was going to say, I think if we have that conversation more, there's two other games that kind of erase that a little. Hang on, one other game I should say, because I keep forgetting that Georgia blew that up. One other game that really erases that conversation. Like, if your coach has you ready to go, you're going to handle business. But to your point, Dave, Miami's offense really wasn't that impressive because Ohio State outpaced them in yardage. Like they really did. And all season long, you're right. We talked about how Ohio State was probably the best team in the country. Even when they lost to Indiana, we were all still kind of hem-hawing around a little bit that maybe Ohio State still was the best team in the country. They were the betting favorite coming into the playoffs. And Miami and Carson Beck just took care of the football. We talked at length about that. When Beck takes care of the football and throws no interceptions, that's still the recipe for them to have success and kick ass. And that's what they did. We talked at length all season long again about how Miami has the best lines of scrimmage in the country, and they showed it here. They kind of bullied them around, especially in the first half. You do see Ohio State make some halftime adjustments, come out and try to get in that 12 formation to try to limit it and have the tight end stay back and block and help pick some of this pass rush up a little bit. But the Miami lines of scrimmage, man, is a problem for anyone involved. They are going to dominate on both sides, and that's exactly what they did here all night long. 5 sacks on Julian Sayin, and like Brian said, just happy feet all night long, man. He settled in a little bit in the second half, but it wasn't enough to really make a difference. And I just thought that Miami looked like the better team. I kept waiting for that Mario Cristobal moment where we come into the show and we're like, hey, they had the lead, they took their foot off the gas, they blew it, and we can't have that conversation, gentlemen. Maybe Miami's learning a little bit, maybe Mario Cristobal is learning a little bit, and it's progressing them in the right direction. So I like what I'm seeing from Miami. I'm going to be honest with you, fellas. If I was to place a wager on a team to win it right now with the 4 teams left in the playoffs, I'm taking Miami. And some may say that's just me and the Indiana hate bias staying true, but I think Miami is legit, and I like what I'm seeing from them at the right time.
Absolutely. I mean, their defense is right up there with Indiana's. I mean, they're 1A, 1B right now, I think, in my opinion, from that standpoint, and talking about who's going to win personally. But credit to them, they've kind of gotten over the hump of recent memory of blown it and not been able to get past these type of games. And credit to them, they've done what they needed to do. They seemed like the more prepared team in this game.
Yep. What's crazy too, though, when I was watching this game, I kept asking myself, why was Ohio State not running the football more? I mean, Bo Jackson was averaging 5 yards per carry, and he didn't get the ball more. That was a little mind-boggling to me. That was the Ryan Day. We have conversations about him a little bit where he overthinks things sometimes. That was one where they were in the game this whole time where they could have allowed him to keep running the football. Also, let's give Jeremiah Smith some credit and some love. He showed up again, and he was about the only one that showed up for Ohio State. 7 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown. The dude's always open. What's concerning for me, if I'm an Ohio State fan, obviously he's not in the portal yet, and I'm not saying he's going to be, but he had a lot of interest in Miami before he signed with Ohio State, and he's out there giving a hug to every single Miami football player after the game. And you know some of them are having that conversation like, hey, you look good in this color. You know that conversation was being had. So let's turn our attention here a little bit to some of these comments. Mike comes in 1 for 7 for teams with a bye. Finish the playoffs on New Year's Day and or go to 16 teams. I do agree that we could speed up the playoff process a little bit. I don't know how Dave and Bryant feel about that. I do agree that you could speed it up. The 16 teams thing for me, Chase comes back and talks about 16 teams or they need to do some play-in games. Look,
I like playing games.
I like the play-in games too, and I actually liked the playoff format that Dave proposed a couple weeks back, if you guys were listening then. But for me, I'm going to have the same conversation that I've been having multiple times. If you have 16 teams, does that really fix anything? Or are now teams 17, 18, 19 just pissed off because they just missed it by 1, 2, 3 positions? Is team 15 and 16, are they really going to be difference makers? So I don't know. I think we could speed the whole process up, and I'd be a lot happier. What do you boys think?
Yeah, I think we should start right after Conference Championship weekend. I get they want to do Army and Navy just by themselves, but we can put that game by itself on, like, make it the only game on Black Friday or something, and then just start the playoffs right after the Conference Championship weekend. I think that solves a lot of the rust issues that I think we're seeing. To Mike's point, being 1 and 7 for teams with a bye. So, that's my opinion, but I agree with the 16. I think it would be better just because it would kind of eliminate any. I mean, once you get past 16, you can almost all agree that this team really did not deserve to get in. I think so. That would kind of get all the best teams for sure in.
Mike said again, 16 teams solves the top 4 getting screwed. I see your point, but where does it stop, right? Once we get to 16, then do they try to go to 20? It's like, where do we stop? That's my only thing is, we were at 4, everybody wanted more, and now we've got more, and everybody wants more again. So Jordan comes back. You'll never make everyone happy. Start them sooner. Somebody will always get mad, whether it's 12 teams per. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying. I agree with you, Jordan. It's where do we stop? It's the whole not to be cliche, but you give a mouse a cookie and now they want some milk. It keeps kind of going, right? Chase comes back, says Tulane and JMU is just not a choice. Make them play someone to get into the playoffs. I like the aspect of a play-in game better because you eliminate the JMU and the Tulane conversation a little bit more with that. Everybody good on that?
Yep.
Okay. So last thing I want to say on this Miami-Ohio State game, because I just had a couple more things in my notes that I want to bring some light to. We talked about Carson Beck and not turning the ball over. He also looked like a different quarterback in the sense of he just had a mindset that I thought he looked like he wanted to win this football game. Like he was running into people, putting his shoulder down and running through guys, stretching the plays with his legs, getting first downs with his legs, some things that we don't see Carson Beck do very often. But when he did it in this game, it showed me that he wanted to really win this football game, and it allowed Miami to only go 3-and-out one time. That's huge, man. They stayed on the field, extended drives, and willed themselves to a massive win in the playoffs.
Yeah, you never see Carson Beck extend plays or move the sticks with his feet, and he did that a few times.
Yes.
I was kind of sitting there with my mouth open. I was like, is that actually Carson Beck out there running the people over?
This is a different Carson Beck, man, and if he's going to play like that and they unlock that capability from him, look out for everybody involved. Dave, you good here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I'm kind of on the same boat. I was mind blown by that loss, but I'm excited to talk about this next game we got coming up.
Oh yeah, this was an absolute
This was a snoozer.
I have so many things I want to say. I can't believe no one's not here tonight to ride my ass about Texas Tech. I was fully bracing for impact with the Texas Tech conversation from no one on this one. If he's listening right now or when he listens back, I'm sure he's going to laugh when I talk about that. But yeah, this was Oregon versus Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. Oregon 23, Texas Tech 0. Chase comes in and says,
we hit the under.
Shutout is bad, bro. Bad. It is bad. And you are right. Dave, what do you got here?
Dude, this game was – I mean, dude, I did not think – I mean, I thought this was going to be one of the more competitive games, to be completely honest with you. I thought it was going to be, back and forth going after it. But, it really – I guess when you look at it, too, you really almost think like, okay, you see Sorsby, what kind of money he's getting going into his next program. And it really does come to show how important that quarterback is at that position, having a quality quarterback. I mean, I thought – listen, they could have used anybody else. I mean,
Baron Morton's horrible.
You talk about not ready for the spotlight. That's how you draw it up if you're showing, somebody, hey, this is not how we did it.
I mean, they upgraded everything but the quarterback. But and even then, let's be realistic. I didn't think any part of the Texas Tech offense came to play that day. I mean, and I to Texas Tech's defense respect, they held their own.
Yes.
But in any other given, let's be realistic. In any other given game, probably playing any other team other than top 5 team, Texas Tech's defense would have kept them in the game and it would have been fine. But this is where you get into the playoffs. You're playing talent against talent, and they just I would say they're talent wise, Oregon and Texas Tech are very similar, other than the quarterback position for sure. And I don't think Oregon, Dante Moore is that impressive either. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think it's one of those where it's that big of a difference. But like I said, I think Texas Tech's defense did a great job, but Texas Tech's offense just could not keep them in the game. And I think that
they were totally inept.
I think
horrible.
I think Oregon got held to like 64 rushing yards or something.
So Oregon had the ball for 38 minutes in this football game, and their EPA per play was a negative 0.29. Their success rate was 31%, even though they had the ball for 38 minutes. And to put it in perspective, EPA per play for Texas Tech was negative 0.52 with a 27% success rate. So honestly, not that far off from Oregon's. They just have no quarterback play. Brian, I'm going to
couldn't execute.
I got so much to say about this still. I can't believe I actually watched a Division I college football quarterback in the playoffs be that useless, and I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, like we talked about a little bit while this game was going on. If Morton's first read was covered or not there, he literally had no idea what to do. Like,
no idea.
Lost. And he was either trying to run and he would get sacked, or he would just throw it away or throw a pick. Or try to run and fumble. And they couldn't do anything on the ground either. I mean, Jacoby Williams had over half his yards on one run. And that was a busted play. He almost got tackled in the backfield. So, yeah, it was a total 180 difference on offense compared to what Texas Tech's defense was putting out there. Texas Tech's defense is absolutely elite, and they showed it in this game. They were just on the field way too much, and they kind of got tired and worn down a little bit and gave up points there at the end. Because really, Texas Tech was in this game in the third quarter. It's just that they could not do anything on offense, and it showed. Oregon's going to have to do a lot better on both sides of the ball in this game coming up against Indiana to win, because the offense that they showed there is not going to win that game against Indiana, I don't think.
Yep,
nor will the defense, because I don't think their defense – yeah, Texas Tech scored 0, but it was just more of how bad Texas Tech was rather how good Oregon's defense was.
Yeah. Hey, look, Nolan's in here. Nolan's just in time to rip my ass over Texas Tech, but I'm going to say what I have to say, then I'll let Nolan get in this. But, yeah, like to your point, Brian, the Texas Tech defense is absolutely elite. I'd put them right up there with anyone in the country, and they did their jobs. When Oregon was starting on the 50-yard line at starting position every single drive, it was just a matter of time before Texas Tech lit on 38 minutes and let go of the rope. They did everything they could do, man. It was unbelievable performance from their defense. I was not impressed with Oregon. I was impressed with Oregon's defense. And then I took a step back and asked myself, was I actually impressed with Oregon's defense, or was I that disappointed in Texas Tech's offense? Nolan, good to have you here. What do you got in this one?
I would like to ask for an apology from Colin here. I called this all the way back in the end of September that Texas Tech would make playoffs and not win their playoff game. So I would just like to just call out I predicted the future.
I told you in private that I couldn't give you an apology, but I'll give it to you. I'll give you the apology, but I still have to bang the table for Texas Tech's defense. I feel so bad for those guys because David Bailey and Romello Height, they're unreal, dude. They lived in the backfield, and I don't know what else to say. I've had my piece on Baron Morton, so whatever you got to throw it at me.
Well, I don't know if you guys mentioned it already, Brendan Sorsby committed there today.
Yep.
Man, if they had Brendan Sorsby, they had my national champion first pick every time, it would be easy no-brainer. But that's all they're missing. It's like some of these NFL teams that you see, everybody says, oh, we're just missing a quarterback. We're doing this, we're doing that. I mean, Texas Tech is that team. They're missing a quarterback right now.
I don't feel like Baron Morton was this bad, though, during the season. Was it?
I agree. But he also wasn't playing top 5 caliber teams.
True.
Yes, they weren't playing top 5 caliber teams, and he hadn't really shown a bunch on tape that I think people realized, like you guys were just saying, if his first read isn't open, he's lost. I think people realized that, and they said, okay, who do we think his first read is going to be? And they just take away the number 1 receiver for him, bracket coverage, inside out coverage, straight up double coverage, whatever it might be, and just say, okay, beat us on your number 2 read. And he can't do it.
He could not do it, dude. It was painful to watch. What was crazy, too, is Oregon went for it on 8 fourth downs. Like, that's how they just weren't scared of Texas Tech in any way of their offense. They were just like that. Piss on it. We're just going to leave our offense on the field. If they don't get it, we'll stop them. They'll punt it.
I love the aggressiveness. It's the way you win football games.
Yep, absolutely. They coached to win it. Good for them. Anything else on this one?
Little nervous for this second round for Oregon, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I had one more thing I wanted to ask you guys. When I was watching this game, Jacoby Williams should definitely be on the field way more than Dickey. Dickey's too slow. Like I was noticing that when he was getting the ball coming out of the backfield, he was too slow to plant and go. Like the play was already unfolding around him, and he could go nowhere. Jacoby Williams was at least able to get a foot in the ground and get going in a north direction for the majority of the time. Like, I kept yelling at the screen, get Dickey off the field. He is not the guy that needs to be in right now. I don't know if you guys noticed that or felt that way, but just one more thing I had on that offense.
Yeah, I think they need to keep him in for short yardage situations if they're going to roll this back out again.
Yes.
Yeah, I think just different play styles, really.
Okay, moving on to the next one, where I get to announce that I was wrong again. And this is the Rose Bowl. Alabama 3, Indiana 38, and I didn't even sniff this one. I sniffed this one for the first quarter. I mean, Bama drove it like twice and came away with nothing. So, Nolan, since you just got in here with us, we'll let you take off first. Alabama 3, Indiana 38. What do you got here?
I would like to pose a question to you guys first. You think this says more about Indiana or more about Alabama in this game?
Indiana for sure.
Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I wasn't crazy here.
Well,
Indiana took it from the start, and they never let go.
Never looked back, baby.
I think they've been one of the most dominant teams we've seen this far.
Yes.
And I think everyone, myself included, at the beginning, I was just like, we'll see. They're gonna fall. They're gonna fall. They're gonna fall, and they're not falling. I mean, they are just full steam ahead.
Well, we already had this conversation, right? And Mike brought it up in our chat. You see the bye teams go 1-7. It makes perfect sense that a Signetti ran football team is the one win. Like, he was the one coach that had his team ready coming off that first round bye. Said, I don't give a shit that we had a bye. Doesn't matter. Get your ass out there and whoop somebody's ass today. And the dude is strictly all business. And then we get to see Mendoza's post-game interviews. And I remind myself, this is why I don't like this Indiana football team. Like, it's too rehearsed and too fake. I don't like it. But somebody tell me what they saw in the game, I guess.
What stands out for Indiana to me is how disciplined they are at literally every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is unreal at calling out protection and getting the blocks where they need to go. On defense, they're not going to kill you with the defensive line play, but they're gap sound. And then every guy in the back seven are always filling the right spot, it seems like, and for sure showed out in this game. Alabama could not get any really explosive plays whatsoever. And it was drive killers for them. But absolute credit to Indiana. You're right. Cincinnati had them ready to play. After about the first quarter, they could pretty much do whatever they wanted on offense, whether it was running with the 1-2 punch of Black and Hemby or getting Omar Cooper and Surratt and Charlie involved.
Yeah, they're loaded on offense. Anything? No one would you or Dave add anything on this?
Nothing really extra to add.
All I'm saying is they should have kept Mendoza in. The Mendoza in, not Alberto.
Yeah. What was the prop that you had, Dave?
Oh man,
you missed.
I was missing like 12 yards. 12 yards.
Welcome to it, man. But hey, like I said, it's time for me to eat some crow. Like we always do on this network, we tell you when we're wrong, and I was wrong. I was wrong about Mendoza. I was wrong about Indiana. I knew they were good. I didn't know they were this good. I didn't know they were 38-3 good. Yeah, man, I owe an apology on this one too. I don't know if anybody on this network per se was a pound the table Indiana type guy, but I think we all might be now. Bama did have a chance in this football game at the very beginning. They drove the field, came away with nothing. They're down 10-0. They're driving again. The drive is the best drive I've seen from Alabama in a couple weeks, it seemed like. And Ty Simpson gets cracked in the back. Something happens to his rib, I believe. Fumbles the ball. Indiana recovers. And at that point, it truly was a rout. It was over. And Ty Simpson was the leading rusher for Alabama with 17 yards and didn't even play a full game. Like, if you're Alabama, how do you not go back? If you're Nick Saban, how do you not call up DeBoer and be like, dude, this is nothing that we've ever built Alabama football on. What in the Sam hell do you have going off this football team? That shit is abysmal, dude. It's horrible.
They cannot run the ball whatsoever at all. And I think it goes back to the line. The line's not playing like they're supposed to.
No,
like, Aiden Proctor was getting bodied.
Yep. Yeah, dude, and he's supposed
to be the guy in the country at the left tackle position.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
That's what we've been saying all year for Alabama. Can't run the ball, can't rush the passer.
Yep, and you saw it here. And it's crazy for everybody to take a step back and swallow it and be like, dude, Indiana dominated the lines of scrimmage against Alabama. That's crazy to even come out of my mouth. But it's exactly what happened. It wasn't just – dominating is not the right word. I don't even know the right word for it, but it was Division I to high school level is what that looked like. It was so bad. Also, Indiana secondary is legit, man. Bryant touched on it a little bit. They never get caught looking in the backfield. They don't leave their assignments. They can do whatever they want. They got all kinds of guys that are ball hawks and guys that are always there to make a play. And they'll put a hat on you, and they'll put it in your chest and make it hurt. And you saw that with Simpson. So anything else on this game, gentlemen?
And I thought Alabama's receivers, like including Ryan Williams, played a better game in this game.
Right.
They just could not score.
What'd you have, Dave?
No, I was going to say, I thought actually Ryan Williams was one of their better receivers in this game.
Hey,
It was him and Bernard were the whole offense. That was it.
Bryant and I were pounding the table saying all of us on this network and everybody out there is hating on Ryan Williams. He's going to hit the over, and he did early. So we can at least take that away. Leon comes in. Sorry I'm late. Did I miss the part where we say go Canes? You did miss that part, Leon, and it's funny because I will give you credit where it is due. You have been talking about Miami Hurricanes since last season on this show in your comments over and over, and you've been pounding the table for them, and you can celebrate, brother, because they're in the Final Four. So congrats to you and the Canes fans that are out there that have been holding on true and listening to us rip on Mario Cristobal at every chance we could get. You've held on, and you've made it. Let's move on to the last game of the quarterfinals. It was Ole Miss versus Georgia. Ole Miss 39, Georgia 34. Fellas, this was the best football game of the weekend, call it whatever you want, over the course of this round of the playoffs. Back and forth affair. I thought Georgia was going to run away with it, and then all I could hear was Corso saying not so fast. So, Dave, what'd you have in this football game, man?
Dude, this game was fun. I mean, I think the first half, I will say, I didn't think was okay. It kind of looked like it was gonna be one of those where Georgia was just gonna gradually build their lead, and then that was gonna be that. Ole Miss was gonna take gonna take a hit. But man, I think Ole Miss just had the grit, man. I mean, and I think it really came down to just winning the line of scrimmage. I think they had 9 tackles for loss versus Georgia only had 3, which I wouldn't expect that. And Trinidad Chambliss, I mean, dude, he was so fun to watch. It was like playing college football. Oh yeah, I mean, he was just like, it was just fun to watch. It is like backyard football, like what you dream of being that player in the playoffs. Because it's not usually, definitely not going to Mizzou.
Tristan says, come on, back in the zoo. Well, you're not going to hear much Mizzou on this episode.
He's driving the car right now, so he meant back in Missouri.
Well, hey, okay, respect for that. Hey, go Tigers, baby. What do you got, Dave?
No, but like I said, Trinidad Chambliss was just fun to watch. I think Ole Miss too is just, again, similar to Indiana, firing on all cylinders. And it's crazy to think that we may have I wouldn't be surprised, an Ole Miss Indiana game would be very fun. That would be extremely fun, I feel like. And Kirby even said, I don't think Georgia played bad, truthfully.
No.
Kirby even said it after the game. He was like, listen, it was just a fun game. And, we missed some assignments here and there, and they just beat us.
Hey, like Brian said, though, when you talked about Trinidad Chambliss, we call him Trinidaddy on this network. That's how we refer to him. We've been calling him Trinidaddy for a while now. Brian, what do you got here?
I'm just looking at Nolan shaking his head, cracking me up.
He loves Trinidaddy.
Yeah, Georgia looked like they had this in control. It was 24-14 or 30-20 there, mid second half, and Ole Miss and Kewan Lacey, credit to him, played hurt, and Chambliss had made all the plays. Finally got some of these receivers going in this game as well. That was much needed for them to pull out the win. So credit to them. I think Ole Miss's won this game rather than Georgia flat out lost. It just seemed like they wanted it more. And dude, their kicker might be better.
Oh,
yeah, dude has an absolute leg, bro. Like
he could have won the game.
That last one was good from 70 plus.
He is going into the NFL and is like a top 5 kicker right now, judging by what I saw in this football game.
Yeah.
Nolan, what do you got?
Ole Miss's offense is fun to watch. I really didn't think they had it in them. I was a Georgia pretty easily in this game, and Ole Miss really surprised me with it. They made a stop or 2 when they absolutely had to that I didn't think they had in them on defense.
Too soon, Tristan. Tristan comes in the comments talking about the kicker, and he says Ravens wish they had him. Too soon, man. Too soon because they do. Did you have anything else, Nolan, or were you kicking it to me here?
Go ahead.
We talked a lot about Trinidad, and I want to give my love to Gunnar Stockton too, dude, because he left it on the field as well. I'm serious, fellas. I don't know if there's a quarterback in the country that gets knocked on his dick like Gunnar Stockton does. This dude absolutely gets blown up at least twice a game.
God.
I mean, he is selling out. The body's flying. And credit to him for grabbing the chin strap, strapping it back up, and going back on the field because, good Lord, he gets absolutely blown apart. Like Bryant said, Keywan Lacey, credit to him as well. Came in this game with a hurt shoulder, played with it, 22 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dude, this guy left it all on the field. And I think the Lane Kiffin thing is why this team is rallying so much. I'm not saying they weren't this good, but like they are playing in every aspect of a team that you could put it on a conversation piece. They're playing for Pete Golding. This team truly wants it, man, and they're going to will their way as much as they can. I don't know if they're going to hold up against Miami. I think that's going to be a fantastic football game. One question that I do have for Georgia that I want to ask you guys, and we talked about this a little bit early on in the season, other than their pass rush and it not being that good, and they only had a pass rush this season against Alabama in the SEC championship, and then all of a sudden it was gone again in this football game. Do you guys agree that them not having a true number one receiver kind of holds them back? Because I don't think Zachariah Branch is that guy. I think he's good. He's good when the ball's in his hands. But I don't feel like their number one receiver is what like scares me if I'm the other team.
Yeah, I think it played a part in it, but we've seen this many times. Georgia not really having a whole lot of weapons out there. I mean, there's some anomalies like George Pickens and Wakonke and those type of guys, but like Brock Bowers was a tight end. I feel like we were going to throw a bunch. They were going to throw a bunch of the tight end in this game too, and that did not happen. So I don't know why they're not scheming a little bit better to their players that they had in this game, and that's kind of what bit them in the end was they just couldn't really get anything going through the air, and then Ole Miss is kind of focusing on the run game a little bit more than they probably should have.
Yep. I also
too conservative, you think, then? Just leaning on their defense, not really scheming things open?
Yeah, because let me ask you this. Before Frazier gets hurt in this football game, late in this football game, he's averaging damn near 6 yards per carry. Why are they not giving him the ball more? Like he was ripping it off in chunks. I could not believe that they didn't lean on him more. That blew my mind. I think they just – I can't say got too cute, and I can't say they got too scared, but maybe to your point, I don't know. I felt like they didn't coach a very smart game once they had the lead in this football game at all.
Yeah, it seems like Georgia always would get big chunk plays in years past on like a little play action, like dig routes over the middle or corner routes to the tight ends, and they would just hit those all game. And I don't think they hardly even called anything like that whatsoever. It was either straight up pass or straight up run.
Yeah,
like we got to work with what's working, and if the run's working, lean on it a little bit, but we're gonna get some play action or some sort of movement in the backfield off of that to get people open. When you don't have a serious weapon at the receiver position, you're gonna have to do it with your tight ends, and they didn't really do it.
Yeah. Before I get to this comment from Jordan, the last thing was that targeting on the Georgia defensive back. Like I know he got him in the head, but once again, we're having this conversation. What do you do, man, when they're already going to the ground and you're lowering your body to make the tackle? What do you do? That shit, their secondary was already extremely thin. And then you lose a guy for the remainder of the game, which was the majority of the football game. We've got to change the rule, right? Maybe if you get 2 in the same game, then you're ejected. I don't know. We got to do something with the ejection part of it.
I think it needs to be like a flagrant 1 or 2 in basketball, something like that.
I could get down with that.
Unless it's like blatantly horrible, like you leave your feet and literally spear the dude in the head. That might be a different story, but
I think that should be the flagrant too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'm trying to kill you. I'm trying to decapitate you. You're gone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude's going down, and all of a sudden you hit his head. I mean, there's not much you can do. It's people moving at 20 miles an hour.
Yes,
like
this was a horse
yards and be done.
This was a horse shit call, in my opinion. Bad, and when the game's this close, okay, take the 2 points away at the end. I'll talk about that a little bit too. But take the 2 points away for the safety at the end for the ball rolling into the pylon. You lose a starting defensive back, and you're already that thin. That could be a difference whenever you're playing Ole Miss's offense and Stribling and I'm drawing a blank on the other one at the time. Wallace, they both go for 120 yards plus. I mean, that clearly was a difference.
Yep.
I saw some things out there that Georgia plus 3.5 was a pretty massively bet live line. And at one point it was 34-37. Georgia takes that kickoff at the end, laterals it back, and the ball just, beautifully and perfectly just teeter-tottered and rolled like 20 yards and just knocks over the pylon. That would be the kind of beat that Bryant and I would have had for the Book It segment this season.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way the season's gone for us. And it leads me into the conversation from Jordan. Said, anybody else go 0 for 4 this weekend? And Chase comes in here and says 1-3. I was 1-3 myself as well. Bryant, the Book It segment on the spreads was 0 for 2.
So we had Texas Tech +3. That obviously did not hit. We had Georgia -6, and that obviously didn't hit either.
Yeah, so we took 2 spreads, 0 for 2 on those. We did go 5 for 6, so the Book It segment on the season is 95 and 97. We're still right there. But yeah, I was one of those kind of on my own, and this was the only thing I got right when it comes to the spreads this weekend. Was I did have Miami plus 9.5. I thought that was too many points. Anybody else, fellas? How'd you guys do this weekend?
They don't gamble.
I know they do. Well, yeah, Dave does because he had Mendoza.
Oh yeah, Mendoza.
Dave's a prop better.
Let me tell you guys.
Props are where they were at this weekend.
Yes, our props did very well.
Mine is Oscar Delp over 1.5 receptions. He literally caught the first pass of the game and didn't catch a single other pass the rest of the game.
How does that happen?
Seriously. That is the Book It segment for us this year right there.
One more catch, and I'm just going to call it 4 full quarters of football from him.
Literally.
You know, unbelievable. And Max Clare, I guess that guy just didn't play for Ohio State.
Is he still on Ohio State? I don't really know.
I guess he's just a premier pass blocker now all of a sudden that we didn't know about. I don't know what happened to Dave. He's gone. Yeah, no one does.
I'm here.
There's Dave.
I was checking my bets to see what I missed.
Anything else from you gentlemen on the review before we turn the page and move on to the preview either tomorrow or Wednesday?
I'm good.
No, sir.
Jordan said Dave's still betting on
I
Pop.
did lose a bet for Vanderbilt. I did lose a Vanderbilt bet.
That doesn't surprise me, Dave. I wish I could say that surprised me, but it does not.
I'm so glad we don't have to talk about that baloney anymore.
Oh, God, I'm glad we can move on from that, dude. I'm glad we're not talking about Mizzou anymore either. The gray hair I took from Mizzou this season is unbelievable.
I think it's going to be worse next year.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. No one's with us, too, though. Like, we're going to talk some Florida State and some Mizzou.
No, we don't got to talk any Florida State because we're going to be one of the most irrelevant teams in all of NCAA next year.
I don't know, dude. You're in talks with a pretty high-end quarterback.
Yeah, dude, that is true.
Yeah. It doesn't matter because, listen, you guys want to get me pissed off? We just had 4 of our talented freshmen announce that they are transferring. You know what 2 of them were? 2 of them are the Desir twins that everybody probably heard if you watched even a couple snaps of Florida State football. One of them finished as an All-American.
Yeah.
As a freshman, a true freshman. He's out.
You know what this is? This is them saying, see ya, peace.
Yeah, it's about to be me.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. Hey, I saw a tweet because Lagway was visiting Florida State, and I wish I knew who this was because it was comical. The internet kills me, dude. It was somebody that had cropped a photo and edited it, and it said DJ Flagalele. I was absolutely it was one of the funnier things I've ever seen. But I felt bad for you in that moment because I feel you, man. We're there. We're in the same point. Dave can't even cheer for his home team, NC State or Wake Forest. Any of these schools he's like driving distance from within 2 hours. Wake Forest, he could drive a golf ball and hit from his house. And Wake Forest had like their best season in years, and Dave didn't even talk about them. So I don't want to – I'm tired of the Pavi and Vandy thing, Dave.
Listen, I'm just going to be a Carnero fan. I'm just going to be a kicker fan.
There you go. Well, that's the case. Be a fan of Ole Miss's kicker because
he's got. Know Dave's going to be on Texas Tech fan or something next year. Like whatever bandwagon's hot, he's jumping on.
Listen, I'm following Dave on his Heisman pick preseason. I'm following Travis Hunter. Diego Pavi was very much so in the conversation. Like Dave's hot with it. Tristan comes in before we get out of here. Transfer portal and money is ruining it all. Chasing money, need to chase greatness. Money will come.
Listen, Tristan, I hate that comment.
Let him have.
You know how much money these institutions make?
I agree.
Give the boys something. And also, this NIL money, they're getting $20 million total out of the institution money. The rest of it is from outside sources.
Yep.
The institutions are still stealing. Everybody will talk about it's ruining it. They're finally just getting paid. There just needs to be some rules around it.
Needs to be some guidelines.
The guidelines need to be better, and the schedule needs fixed.
Yes.
Like, in my opinion, we need to scrap spring ball, and we need to have transfer portal in May, and then we need to have like an off-season camp OTA type stuff like the NFL does, because that solves all the scheduling issues.
I agree. Rules need to be in place from Chase. Yes. Jordan says this is a part that I agree with. Transferring 5 times is kind of bullshit. Like, that's from Jordan's comment. That's what I agree with. There needs to be like hey, I like the old school. If you lost your position coach or your head coach, then you could hop in the portal. Or if you're a graduate, then you could hop in the portal. Get something back to that a little bit where you can't do it every season, or get something in place where there's some contracts where, hey, you got to play 2 seasons before you could hop out, whatever, something like that. I know there's a lot more to be had in those conversations, and we will get to all those once the playoffs are over, because the sky is the limit with those. We could go on for hours. Anything else, gentlemen?
Nope.
Okay, let's turn the page. We're on to the semis. 4 teams remain. We will break those down either tomorrow or Wednesday, whatever the fellows decide. Once we hop off this episode, we'll have a chat, and we'll decide what we're going to do. But, hey, you can follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports, X, DT_sports, Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, for rocking with us tonight. Love the chat, having plenty of conversation. That's what makes it fun. Love when we can build off of you guys. Thanks for doing that. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and telling your friends. Until next time, that's Bryant, Dave, Nolan, and myself. Peace, gentlemen.